What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. This week I wanted to bring a quick tutorial on a tool that is called AwardFares. It's a pretty recent tool. It's been launched not so long ago and it's pretty cool. It lets you search for Star Alliance availability across multiple frequent flyer programs. So not only a specific program. And I would say it's going to be very useful for people who are planning a trip or who can plan a trip ahead of time, and they have flexibility on the routes they can take, because with this tool you can search from different destinations to different destinations, and then you can see the entire availability that the frequent flyer programs are showing. So if you have flexibility on the routes, maybe you are planning a trip for your entire family of multiple people, and then you want to make sure that there's availability for 3-4 people, or you are trying to secure some place in specific cabin like premium economy or business class, then you could use AwardFares to actually search where are the airlines flying and in which seats there's availability, and which programs you could use to book your award tickets. All right, so let's jump right into it. So let's first take a quick look at the pricing structure. They, of course, have a free version, but it's mainly a paid tool. So the free version is mainly for you to take a quick look at what the tool can do. And I would say that it's a little bit limited because you can see the whole availability, but you cannot do specific searches. You cannot use it to search for specific point A to point B kind of searches. You can see if there are some seats, in which cabin, where to where, but you cannot actually do a specific search. So if you want to do your own search, then you'll have to go to a paid kind of plan. And for the paid or premium versions, they have two tiers. One is the gold version, which is $5 a month. And they also have the diamond version, which is $20 a month. And they provide pretty much the same features. The main difference is that the diamond version provides real-time availability, while the gold version is updated in an hourly basis. So maybe you're seeing availability, and then there's a risk that within certain hours that you're trying to book a certain ticket, those tickets will disappear because someone else booked them, and they have not been refreshed in the gold version. Whereas in the diamond version, you would see that sort of in real time. Also, the gold version has some limits in the number of searches you can do. So for example, you can do up to 100 searches per day and also have a maximum number of 7 searches at the same time. So I think that's pretty fair. So if you're not a really hardcore user trying to book lots of tickets constantly, then I think the gold plan is a good way to start using the tool. They also run like a yearly plan, so you can pay the whole year and then you save a little bit. You can also wait. They ran a few promotions from time to time. I subscribed to the tool during Black Friday last year, and during Black Friday they had 50% off on all the plans. So I ended up paying something like $25 for the whole year of the gold membership. So you can easily wait until those promotions if you want to jump in and try how it works. So what I'd like to do today with this video is a very quick overview of how the tool works and the features that you have available if you have a premium or a paid subscription. What I also like to do is to compare it with different search engines, what they are showing, the data they are showing, compare it to the actual frequent flyer programs information when you do the searches. So let me very quickly log into my account. So once you log in, you jump onto this dashboard kind of thing. On the top right, you have your own account information. You also have the billing information, and then you quickly jump to help and blog, and you can also log out. There's not so many details you can fill in your account. That's basically it. You can change your billing information eventually. And then on this dashboard, what you see, the first thing that you see is the whole kind of world availability, which is kind of cool in a time view. So what they display here is a bar graph over time. So these are the months, and then these are the dates. And then you see how many available seats there are in the different cabins. So each of the colors is a different cabin. You see that there's economy tickets, how many economy tickets there are. You also see premium economy, business class, and first class. And this whole picture here that you see, basically the distribution of available seats across cabins and across days. But the picture you're seeing is of the entire world. These are the entire world of available seats or trips you can book from any destination to any destination. So while the view is kind of cool, it doesn't give you a sense for how many tickets there are to the places that you want. So if you scroll down, you can see examples of flights that are departing from any destination to any destination. And then if you click and expand this window here, you can see a breakdown per frequent flyer program. And this is where the key thing is. So some people have miles and points in different frequent flyer programs. So this part is key. If you want to book your ticket, you want to make sure that the availability is showing up in your frequent flyer program. That's also important because sometimes you could have, for example, American Express. If you have American Express membership reward points, you can transfer those points to multiple other airline programs. And then one thing you could do is, if you have some Amex points, you could use this tool to search the availability on the different programs, and then you can transfer your Amex points to those programs to then book, of course. That's not very straightforward. There's a risk that from the moment you transfer, it takes a few days, and sometimes those seats can be already booked. So it's not straightforward, but that's one way to go. If you have membership reward points and the seat is only available on SAS EuroBonus, then you can transfer your point to EuroBonus and then book it. That's why this tool is so useful, because up until now you had to log in to each of the airlines frequent flyer programs to see if there was availability. This is like an aggregator. You can actually see across all of the programs in Star Alliance. All right, but if you scroll up again, then you can see that you can start filtering these flights of the entire world. You can go ahead in time or back in time, scroll. Of course, there's one phenomena here, which is that if you go later in time, for example, April, May, etc., you'll see that the availability starts decreasing. And this is because most airlines don't release these seats until close to the flights, because of course they want to sell these tickets. So the availability that you will see going into the future, into future dates, it's going to be very limited compared to the number of seats that you can see in the next few months. So keep that in mind. Maybe you're planning a trip a year from now, so maybe you can do a quick search now. If there are seats, you can book. But then what you can do also is wait, because most of the airlines, as they don't sell all the tickets, they will start opening up more and more seats, and then this tool will show them. So if you want to filter by different things, you can start filtering by airlines. So if you want to fly a specific airline, maybe you can select, for example, AirCanada, and then you will see the flights that are available for AirCanada only. You can filter by airplane. If you want to fly a specific plane, like for example the A350, then you can come here and select the A350. Filter by flight number. If you're trying to book a specific flight, then you can enter here your flight number. For example, I can just type SK945, and then the tool will only show me the availability on that specific flight, which is from Stockholm to Chicago. And then another thing you could do is to filter by route. So let's say I want to fly from Frankfurt to New York, right? So I can type Frankfurt to New York, and then I can see all the flights in April-May range available from Frankfurt to New York. I know that I want to fly in that route, but I don't know which airline. I don't have a preference. So if you scroll down, you can see here, these are the next available flights from different airlines you see, and then the cabins, right? You can select different routes. For example, if you're considering different origins, so you can either put Frankfurt or Berlin or Munich. So you can select multiple origins, and then you can also select multiple destinations. Like if you want to do New York or Chicago, then you can just type all your destinations, and then you will see how the availability increases. You can, of course, then search or filter by airlines. So if I only want to fly Lufthansa, then I can apply this filter on these destinations. And then another thing you can use to filter the flights is if you want to fly on a specific date. So you can come here and add your date. So if you want to go for Easter this year, for example, let's say you want to travel on a Wednesday 8th, Easter is a very popular holiday, so airlines don't usually open up a lot of seats. If I put lots of restrictions, for example, Lufthansa, and from this route to this route, then it's going to be harder. But as you can see here, if I'm trying April 8th, then I can see that there's a flight from Munich to Chicago on April 8th. In business class, there are 9 seats, and then in economy class, there are 9 seats as well. And then when I click here, I see that I can use SAS EuroBonus to actually book this ticket. And then once you have this information, let's say we want to book it with SAS, so we can come to SAS and then we can input the same route and date. So we're flying from Munich to Chicago on April 8th for one adult, right? Or if you're trying to book it with a family of 4, then you can just search for the whole family. And then you can see what availability they're showing. Sometimes it's a bit different, but in this case, it's matching the same thing we have seen in this website. And then if we want to compare to what it shows in United, then we have to do the same search in United from Munich to Chicago. And then we're doing April 8th, one way, and then any cabin, and then book with miles. So we are gonna find some flights. All right, so now we have the search results. If you scroll down, we can actually use United to book the same flight. So we can either book business class or economy class, and it's the same flight with an A350 LH436. Don't panic if AwardFares is not showing the availability on your program. You can still do the search. Sometimes they are not able to see the same information as the airline, so they don't display anything here, but you can still do the search. You can still run the same search on your program like United if you see the seats available on some other program. One thing to keep in mind though is that usually you can call them. Let's say that you have United and you see the seats available in SAS. You can often call United and then say, I see that there's availability. Can you please look for this specific flight for me? And they often help you finding the seat that it's open. All right, one last thing I want to show is, let's say you are planning a trip, like some holiday trip, but you don't really know the destination. So you have some idea. So for example, if you want to go from Europe to the Caribbean, so what you can actually do is search the entire region. So you can type Europe here, you can type South American Caribbean here, some estimate dates, and then you can see, for example, which dates you have flights and where. So you can start using this tool and these regions so that you identify flights from point to point. So if you have flexibility on your destination, for example, you could try flying from Istanbul to Sao Paulo, Brazil. So what you could do with this technique is to actually define your destinations based on the availability. This is a little bit more complicated if you are with kids, because then you have to buy tickets in a separate way. You have to position yourself, you have to book all the tickets in a separate fashion. But oftentimes, this is a great way of planning your trip and journey, picking the destinations based on the availability. If you use these buttons on the top right, you can change your view as well. For example, you can change this timeline view to a map view, and then you will see a map with all these points here in red, which are all the destinations with flights available. And then once you click on a destination, you can start filtering by route available to the destination. I can also click Tokyo, for example, and then you can see all the flights that are available to and from Tokyo. And the last button you see here is what they call a journey. And this is a pretty cool tool because you can start planning your journey by selecting the flights that you see below. You can start adding these trips to your journey. So for example, I can add this Los Angeles to Copenhagen as one of the legs today. And then I can add a second flight from Copenhagen to some other place that is available. So for example, I can scroll here this list and then see the time difference. So you can see here on the left-hand side, you can see that this flight is 1 hour 40 after you arrive in Copenhagen. If you want to do something like 3-4 days later, you can select, for example, Copenhagen to Houston. 2 days later, and then you add it to your journey, and then you can start the same way adding more and more flights. For example, you can go back from Houston to Copenhagen, and then you keep adding this to your journey. And this is a great way to plan your journey with these stopovers. You can start playing with these destinations and journey planner. And then once you have tentative itinerary that you like, you can use this button to actually copy it to the clipboard. And then this is how you would paste it, or how it looks when you paste it. All the routes and the flight numbers and the departure and arrival. And then you can keep this as a note when you're actually booking through your frequent flyer program. All right, and to wrap up, one last thing I want to show you is about this alert. So basically, if you're planning a trip, for example, 8 months from now and you don't see the availability today. So for example, I want to add an alert from Stockholm to Haneda, Tokyo on June 6th, for example, which is the Swedish National Day. And then I will not want to do a wide search. So what with this wide search is, do you also want information about the surrounding days, like the vicinity of the date you selected? And then I want to be notified for availability in business class, and then I just set up the alert. So now there's no available flights. If you search for this route, a direct flight in business class, what I just did is created this alert, and then they will query this route from time to time. And then as soon as there's a seat available, they will send me an email saying, now you have open seats in this route. So you can actually go ahead and book it. So basically they keep an eye for you on the routes that you are interested in. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. I hope this was helpful. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I drop these tutorials from time to time. I hope not to be very boring. I also want to say that this is a non-sponsored video, so there's no referral program attached. There's nothing I want to sell. I just wanted you guys to have a feeling for how the tool works. This is my own opinion and experience. So thank you so much for watching today, and see you soon.